In today's live stream, I'm going to discuss some news and current events that are affecting us as resellers. And I'm also going to bring on my friend and colleague, Randy Fasig. We're going to discuss the Reseller 12-step program, which we've already had a series of videos on, and some of the other issues that are affecting us as resellers. So let me bring Randy on, and then I shall get into the news. Let me bring Randy on, have Randy introduce himself. Randy, why don't you just tell the people a little bit about yourself?
Hi, I'm Randy, and I'm old.
Randy's old like me. I was joking with somebody. I was in somebody else's, just as a side note, guys, you know, I like to talk about things. I was in somebody else's reseller chat last night, and they asked me how I was doing. I said, "Oh, I'm hanging in there." They said, "But unfortunately, Father Time is undefeated." So,
that's correct.
All right, let me get into my little news article, and we'll discuss a couple things that are affecting us as resellers. And then Randy and I have a few topics we want to discuss with you guys. So things that are affecting us as resellers, and we're going to talk about changing things up a little bit in your store. We're going to talk about a little bit about shipping and some other topics as well. So let me just go over these few some of these quick news topics, and we'll get in with Randy, and I'll have a little discussion with Randy. Okay, guys, so I'm just going to run over through these few topics here. Okay, the first news article. Macquarie, sellers hit with higher fees. Mike Flipping Goodies, I know, is in the chat. So, Mike, pay attention. Macquarie is raising their fees. Macquarie will begin charging payment processing fees on shipping costs in addition to the item sold price. It also will raise disbursement fees and inform customers in an email on this past Thursday. Sellers compared the change to fees assessed by eBay and Etsy, which charge commission and payment processing fees on shipping. While Macquarie will begin charging payment processing fees on the item plus shipping, it appears it will continue to charge its 10% commission fee only on the item price. Macquarie sets out fees in its terms of service. The move follows a fee change in November when Macquarie raises payment processing rate from 2.9% plus 30 cents per transaction to 2.9% plus 50 cents per transaction. So again, guys, keep in mind that's not a huge increase, but keep in mind now that Macquarie is going to charge you, kind of a final value fee, so you are paying fees on your shipping. So we all know I've discussed this multiple times on this channel. Back in the day when eBay used to have things where people used to charge, $1 for an item and then charge $20 shipping when the shipping was only $3, and then he wouldn't pay fees on that shipping. So eBay says, no. We're not going to run our business like that. So then they made it bad for everyone else, and they started charging final value fees, including shipping. I talk about eBay being glitch-based sometimes, so I just want to bring to your attention. I know Randy and I have discussed this. There's obviously the more you're on the platform, the more you notice these things. But there's been some glitches on eBay. I want to bring these to your attention if you weren't aware of it. Current eBay glitches include issues with search, shipping, and renewals. eBay sellers are experiencing some significant issues that have been logged in the last few days, impacting search, delivery status, eBay international shipping, or EIS, items incorrectly showing as out of stock, and listings up for renewal that simply disappear. eBay no longer announces details about technical issues and glitches on the eBay system announcement board, which has been turned into a general dashboard. However, eBay does log issues in the thread on the discussion boards, and sellers who are experiencing them can include the reference ID when reporting them to eBay customer support. The most recent cases eBay logged in the tech usage thread are the following. Item title search in active listing page returns 0 results. That was on March 13th. Multiple members reported issues with search as the keywords getting auto-corrected. That was on March 13th as well. Delivered status not updated on orders for UPS, FedEx, Parcel to Go, USPS, and GSP. That was on March 12th. EIS enabled on listing, but not showing on eligible items. That was March 12th. Listing with available quantities reflecting as out of stock, also on March 12th. Items not getting renewed and getting ended and disappearing. That was on February 28th. This is the topic that Randy and I were discussing pre-show. I'm going to bring it up to the chat in general, guys. We can discuss this a little bit. If you weren't aware of this, eBay will begin disclosing seller addresses in June. eBay will disclose the name and physical addresses of sellers beginning in June, according to the host of the eBay for Business podcast. That's because of a new law that requires marketplaces to make such public disclosures, they said during a recent episode. Brian Burke and Jim, or Griffith, said eBay needed to collect and verify some identification and contact information because of Inform Consumers Act that became law in December. The sponsors of the bill, Senator Dick Durbin and Senator Bill Cassidy, said the integrity, notification, and fairness in online retail marketplaces for consumers, or Inform Consumers Act, would combat the online sale of stolen, counterfeit, and dangerous consumer products by ensuring transparency of high-volume third-party sellers in the online retail marketplaces. It would direct online retail marketplaces that include third-party sellers of consumer products to verify the identity of high-volume third-party sellers, which will help deter the online sale of counterfeit goods by anonymous sellers and prevent organized retail crime rings from stealing items from stores to resell those items in bulk online, according to the Senator's December 20th press release. The Informed Consumers Act directs online marketplace to verify high-volume third-party sellers by authenticating the seller's government ID, tax ID, bank account and information, and contact information. High-volume third-party sellers are defined as vendors who have made 200 or more discrete sales in a 12-month period amounting to $5,000 or more. The legislation instructs online marketplaces to ensure that their high-volume third-party sellers disclose to consumers basic identity and contact information. The online marketplace will also need to supply a hotline to allow customers to report the marketplace suspicious marketplace activity, such as posting of suspected stolen, counterfeit, or dangerous products. The bill presents an exemption for individual high-volume third-party sellers that permits them not to have their personal street address or personal phone numbers revealed to the public if they respond to consumers' questions over email within a reasonable time frame. The bill's requirements would be implemented by the FTC and violations would be subject to civil penalties. eBay's Burke said the new law stipulates that for any seller who reaches an annual total revenue of $20,000, eBay is required to include your name or company name and the full physical address in the purchase confirmation emails and order details. Burke says sellers could request an exemption prior to the Informed Consumers Act taking effect on June 27th of 2023, in which case eBay would share only a partial address with buyers if the sellers met certain criteria. However, it appears eBay doesn't have a process in place yet for sellers to certify that they are eligible for this exception. So what do you think, sir? Not good, huh?
I think with every cost, there's a compromise. Or with every compromise, there's a cost. Okay? We saw it first with people listing things for a penny with $400 shipping. And, so now we pay that price. Okay? Now we see it as, large party sellers who game the system, and now we're paying the price. We're all paying the price. Think about it. All right. What was the first thing that Congress did this year? And I only bring this up because this is part of the things that they do that they don't understand, that really doesn't affect them, that makes everybody think they're doing something. Well, the first thing they did this year was to make a bill allowing them to do something that they called dastardly and horrible killing people. They allowed them to smoke in the house.
We're trying not to get political, but I did see that. It's like, okay, let's take down the metal detector so people can bring their guns into Congress, and let's allow everybody to smoke. Okay, yeah. But we're not allowed to smoke in public buildings around in New Jersey. I don't think they're allowed to smoke in public buildings in Pennsylvania, but they're allowed to smoke in Congress. The Capitol.
It shouldn't be if you want to opt out. It should be if you want to opt in and reveal your address. I think this is dangerous. I mean, we've all been told by eBay how a lot of their rules have to do with the protection of their buyers and their sellers. Well, I don't think there's anything a whole lot more dangerous than this.
This,
So
I'm sorry. Okay.
if that's really their concern, then this needs to be a big part of their concern.
This John Jones is exactly what Randy and I were discussing. And like I said, people, you know my story. I'm health issues. I'm a part-time reseller. Obviously, I want to gear up my business. I'm trying to get healthier and do more volume and supplement my income. I was just checking one of my bank accounts and it's dwindling. I got to get a full roof done and the whole 9 yards, but that's another story. But anyway, and so I'm trying to generate some additional income through, selling on eBay or whatever other platforms. But I said that to Randy. I said, that's an additional cost for small sellers. I mean, now eBay is saying 20,000, but that's not what that bill said, according to this article. I don't think it's going to be $20,000 in sale. I think it's going to be kind of like the reporting. What's the reporting issue? Was it $2,000? It's going to be, I think this year.
I honestly don't remember, but it's a pretty low bar.
Yeah, I think it's like 2,000. Yeah.
If you're not selling that much, you're just a
casual
part-time seller trying to get rid of some shit from your house.
Right. All right. Your co-host wants to show her face.
Yes.
Mike, by the way, I enjoyed your video. If you're still in the chat, I enjoyed your video of your new puppy. But Mike was saying in the chat that his new puppy sleeps a lot. Well, that's what puppies do. They sleep a lot. They're growing, right?
That's what I would like to do. Sleep a lot.
As a side note, I was trying to do some. Guys, I tell you about with the price of gasoline and everything, and keeping track of your mileage for your tax write-offs and this, that, and the other thing. And so when I'm thinking to myself, it's like, wow, okay, well, if I'm on the highway, I get X amount of miles a gallon, and because of my health and my size, I have to drive an SUV. So I mean, inner city, I'm only getting like 12 to 13 miles a gallon. On the highway, I get 20, 22, 24. So, excuse me. So anyway, long story short, I thought, well, let me go to this. I'll get breakfast, and I'll go to the grocery store. Then I'll go and try to do some retail arbitrage, see if I get any deal on clothes. So anyway, I was telling you people, I used to do relatively well back in the day at Ross. I used to go on a Tuesday, the 55 plus people would get 10% off. And I used to do relatively well. So now and then Burlington Coat Factory, I used to do well for myself. And then Burlington Coat Factory really cut back on their clearance items, and the prices weren't as competitive. I didn't really have enough margin on that. So now I started shopping more at Marshall's for myself, but I'm looking to see if I can do any retail arbitrage. Long story short, I really couldn't find any deals. But like I said, guys, that's something you want to do is you want to combine. If you're out thrifting, maybe hit 2 or 3 thrift stores, or maybe hit the grocery store, then hit the thrift store. But it's a cost involved. So anyway, what John Jones was saying, that I don't understand. I don't like that doxing small time sellers. I mean, as it is, I don't personally have. And when I first started, I thought, well, maybe I would just get a PO box at the local post office. And I thought about it, it's like, well, I don't know, back then maybe they were $10, $12 a month or whatever. So I was like, oh, that's $150 extra a year. Well, if they're going to start disclosing my address to people, I might have to spend that money. And then, like what John was saying at the UPS stores and stuff, it might be $150 to $200 a year for a PO box.
Let me say this. If it's so dangerous that eBay and all the other platforms have to give you a fake email address for anybody who buys anything from you, okay, why is it not dangerous to give my physical address?
Yeah. Once you share with me what, and I had known this and it kind of slipped my mind. Once you share with the people in the chat, if they do want to get a USPS post office box, you said there's a way that you can get returns and things, and they'll hold it for you. Once you explain about the street address, and once you explain that to the chat.
Yeah, if you want to get packages delivered that are not from USPS, what you have to do is provide the street address of the post office box. Okay, so if your post office box is P.O. Box 100, and it's located on, 235 South Front Street, you have to put 235 South Front Street as well as the P.O. Box. Okay. Otherwise, what you're going to have to do is get one at either a FedEx or,
Or one of the UPS store, or one of those regional little,
Postal
mom and
Depot.
pop things. Yeah. Tommy said they've been doing it for a while in England. But yeah, so I mean, that's like you said, I probably will have to do that. I'll probably have to get a PO box at the local USPS. And then, like you said, just I'll put in like, 1, 2, 3, 4 Main Street box, 4, 5, 6 or whatever, and then my town and my state and zip code. So,
There's one thing that I want to address while we're talking about the post office. It has to do with that little sheet that you provide that
yes,
means absolutely nothing.
the scan sheet is useless.
The scan sheet.
Yep.
Okay. You cannot do anything. If you print a wrong postal label, you can't get a credit for it. It doesn't prove that you shipped the item. eBay will not stand by it and not ding your account. In fact, they'll basically, in my opinion, purposely ding your account for it. Okay. And the post office will tell you, oh, yeah, we stand by it. Yeah, you stand by it as much as you stand by the insurance, because the insurance is nothing but a scam. All right. You have 2 months, okay, to claim the insurance. But the problem is, a lot of times you get notifications in 90 days. Okay. That's past the time, and they will not honor that, even though they're the ones that took 90 days to inform you that they did not deliver the package.
Right.
So it's all really a bunch of nonsense. Don't believe the insurance thing. I see people insuring things for thousands of dollars, and they'll never get that money back, even if their stuff gets destroyed.
It's funny you said that. And I've told people I was in the wine and liquor industry. I was in retail, and then I was in the display business, and then I was in the wholesale business. And I went back in the retail. But the last retailer I worked for did a lot of wine business, online shipping, and they use FedEx, I guess, because obviously you can't ship it through USPS. And for some reason, I guess they couldn't even ship it through UPS, or was cost prohibitive. I'm sorry?
It's alcohol, and it takes...
Right.
You can't ship alcohol by plane. It has to go by ground.
By ground, right. So they would ship it through FedEx, and then they would ship like thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars in packages over the years, and they would have one claim, and then they would deny it. Just like all us resellers have issues with the USPS denying claims. So I don't get it.
Better than actually both UPS and USPS.
FedEx is better with paying claims?
Yes.
Okay. Did you want to get, since we're on that topic now, do you want to get a little bit into shipping and just talk a little bit about the price increases and some packages going away and possibly more packages going away in July?
Yeah. I mean, Louis DeJoy is basically reworking the post office supposedly to make it more profitable. Don't believe everything you hear. In fact, I'd almost say don't believe anything you hear. They got rid of A and B, and they used to have a regional rate C, which was even a larger box. And for somebody who ships good weights and good sizes, short distance, all those things were pretty good. Now, the A box, if you can get a post office rep to approve you for a cubic rate, which is better than the cubic rate that's advertised by whoever.
It's better like the pirate ship, whomever. Okay.
Those are different cubic rates.
Okay.
They're a lot different. It's actually a lot cheaper than what the A box used to be.
Okay.
I can ship what used to be an A box to New York for like $7.49.
Wow. I can't ship a padded flat rate envelope for under $9 now. It's like $8.75. My cost.
I think they kind of messed it up, but nonetheless.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. In July 10th, there's going to be another rate increase. In fact, the post office has promised to raise increases at least twice a year. They already have it approved. Okay. There's some other things that I can't talk about, but there are other things on the way that are not any good either. Nobody really has the details for it. other than, a few people in the know. And
There might be some
unfortunately,
additional packaging going away, and as soon as it's legal to announce it, Randy and I will share that with you guys. I'm sure it'll be on the various e-commerce blogs or whatnot.
I mean, the post office has hundreds of sizes of packages that the average person, does not have access to. They only have access to maybe 20 or 30 different packages. But the post office has a whole lot more. But unless you're a certain volume shipper,
Right.
you're not going to get those. And you have to have a minimum order of 10 pallets to actually get those supplies in. They don't cost anything, but nonetheless, and
You have to. I'm sorry. You have to place an order of 10 pallets of supplies to get that packaging.
Right.
Okay.
Now, I usually get about 8 pallets at a time in, but I could easily expand that, to 10. But, it takes a lot of work and it takes a lot of pressure. They're not easy to deal with. You have to sign confidentiality agreements. There's all kinds of things and hoops you have to go through. But anybody who ships even a small amount can get a postal rep. And it's not that they're completely useless. They do. You know what? You can get some things that normally you cannot get. And if you have some good people at a local post office, they're really valuable. So, trying to gain a good relationship with them is important. They even tell me when they're going to be out, for a vacation, or they're going to be out for an operation. I have a good relationship with the local post office. There's no consistency in the regional post office because they come and pick up every day in a truck. Okay, but those scan sheets are absolutely useless.
Yeah, they're pretty much useless. Yeah.
They're a waste of time. Do not do them, even if they tell you how great they are. They're not telling you the truth. They're just feeding you the company line.
Yeah.
And they're going to hurt you more than they're going to harm you. Stay away from them. Treat them like poison ivy, and you're allergic.
Yeah, absolutely.
But learn your shipping because it can cost you. It can cost you a lot.
Yeah, I wanted to bring that up a little bit as like not a side note, but to kind of expand the topic a little bit. And you're doing, guys, if you're not familiar, most of you are probably already familiar with Randy. I know we have mostly regulars in the chat right now, but Randy has a large business, and I have linked to Randy's business in my description of this video, where he sells coffee, spices, and various other things from his regular huge business, and then he does a lot of reselling as well. That he ships a lot of that stuff from his home. So Randy gets I guess I don't know what the title would be, but commercial plus rate. I mean, so that's negotiated on his behalf because of the volume he does. But you're what, about maybe only 5% now? You're shipping with USPS?
Yeah, USPS got a little bit better, so I would say it's maybe up to 10%. It depends on the platform that you sell on. For instance, I would not want to ship anything out by USPS selling on the Walmart platform. I still would on eBay, but I would not on Walmart, only because there are differences between the two platforms and how they judge your performance. And your performance has a lot to do with how well you will do on the site.
So it has something to do with like uploading the tracking and when it's delivered, and or those type of things.
Walmart judges you on when it's delivered.
When it's delivered, okay.
Okay. eBay judges you when it is scanned.
Tracking is up. Yeah, when it's entered, and then tracking is uploaded.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's the main reason why that scan sheet is so dangerous.
Yes.
Okay, because it does not mean
doesn't itemize all those items on the scan sheet.
No, and it doesn't mean that they even got them.
Yep.
Okay, you are giving away your rights.
Yeah, they're scanning the one. I mean, I don't really use a scan sheet, but they're scanning like whatever that code is, but they're not individually scanning each item probably till it gets to the regional post office. Is that correct?
That's correct. But what if
Okay.
the driver stops by his house and throws 20 of your packages in his backyard before he goes back? Okay. You have no way of proving. That
Correct.
scan sheet means nothing.
Because those items were individually scanned by the driver. Just a scan sheet. Yeah.
Yeah. Drivers do not scan them anyway. Okay. Not in the level that we do them.
Okay.
Otherwise, they'd be there all day. Just
Okay. So the drivers don't scan at all. The carriers.
Right. The carriers sometimes will scan them. And if you go in with more than 5 or 6 packages, okay, they will try to pressure you to run a scan sheet so that they don't have to do their job.
And they want you to leave it on the counter, or they want you to put it in the bin, and then it's not scanned when you drop it off. You don't know what's going to be scanned. Why it doesn't get scanned the next day?
You know, I had a supervisor approach one of the people I deal with at the post office. And he said to the person at the post office, "I'm really surprised you scan every package. Do you really scan every package?" And she said, "Yeah, that's what you're supposed to do." And he said, "Well, we don't do that anymore." Okay, so it's going to show up late. Your account's going to get dinged. Your rating there will get lower.
Your status is going to go lower, and then your cost goes up. I mean, that's why I use Pirate Ship, and I compare it with eBay, but I compare Pirate Ship's rate with eBay's rate because sometimes Pirate Ship's the same, sometimes it's less, sometimes it's more. But with Pirate Ship, I have a credit card tied to it, so I get my 1%. And it all adds up. 1% is 1%. But I get commercial plus with Pirate Ship. I don't necessarily get that with eBay.
And actually, even the discounts are not as important as the quality of service. And that's another reason for us moving away from USPS.
Right.
Because you know what? The buyer doesn't care about your discounts. All the buyer cares is, hey, I ordered this on Tuesday. When am I going to get it?
Yes, you're absolutely right.
The question is, where is my item?
Right.
You have to answer it. And if you send it out in a pretty stupid way, you're the person who's going to answer for it. You're the person who they're not going to come back to the next time they want to buy something.
Okay. Did you want to get a little bit into the 12-step program? Do you want to get into showing the pictures that you're taking? What do you do next?
Yeah, we'll do the photos. I mean,
the photos next. Okay.
That program's going pretty good.
Okay.
I don't know exactly what people are getting out of it.
Right.
And if you fail, you know what? So what? Get back again. The only people who don't fail are the people who do nothing.
Right. Well, I love that analogy, the story you told about Albert Einstein, where he was doing the math, and then the last thing he said, 10 plus 10 is 22, and all the people in his class started laughing, and he said, "Well, I got 5 out of 6 for 4 out of 5 right." And you didn't laugh. You laughed at the one thing I got wrong. And what were we saying? The only person that doesn't make mistakes is the person that doesn't do things. I mean, I'm paraphrasing, but doesn't do anything. Yeah.
That's the guy who doesn't make mistakes. He doesn't do anything.
Doesn't do anything. You're going to make mistakes, but you have to, like I said, my favorite quote that I learned in college, which is an expensive quote to learn, but the only thing that's permanent is change. So
I mean, let's face it. One of the best medicines came by accident, which was penicillin.
Right. Okay, guys. Again, I'm talking about changing things up. So a lot of you, or to say a lot of you, some of you in the chat sell used clothing. And we know that it's extremely, extremely, extremely oversaturated. Unless you're doing a lot of volume, you have access to really good deals, good quality. You're a fashionista, like Beth Reseller Rowboat or Crystal Rosie's Closet, and you kind of can spot fashionable things and buy them on dollar days and flip them quickly. For somebody like myself, I'm not a fashionista, so I'm not listing a lot of used clothing. I'm trying to get away from it. So I'm trying to get into hard goods, more into replenishable. So anyway, Randy was kind enough to take me to one of his liquidation sites where he buys from. We discussed liquidation, and we're going to talk more and more about liquidation. And this is one of the items that Randy picked up, and he's just going to discuss a little bit about taking pictures and making your listing basically stand out. So why don't you discuss that, sir?
Well, you know what? People buy by their eyes, okay? If you want to make somebody lust after something, that's really how they buy. They see a picture, they covet it, and they're willing to pay whatever it is to get it because it looks good. If it looks sloppy, if it's just clutter around it, okay, people aren't going to want to buy it. Okay. I mean, billions of dollars are spent on advertising to make things look better than they actually are for the most part. I think nice, clean photos with nothing other than the product that you're buying, because some of them are actually confusing. Sometimes you have things in there that really date the item. So, you could have the item looking like it's 15 years old when it's really not, by what's around it. If you have a bunch of people sitting around listening to a Victrola or an old radio, you're going to say, man, that's from the 30s. Well, this is a way to keep things clean. You don't want too many photos. That's just going to slow up the page and people are going to move on. But, I took one item and I took 6 photos. I don't think you need 24. On some items, maybe you do. But there are some items that I think you can get away with 3. Mostly 6. I mean, that's kind of my point.
Yeah, I guess you say to know what Tommy makes, and I always credit Craig Lance Shark
Yeah.
Picker, but basically said the same thing. You need good items that you're selling at competitive prices, with good pictures, good descriptions, and good titles. So
Yeah, and you know what? There are so many AI programs to do your descriptions for you that you don't even have to think that much anymore. They're actually pretty good. I mean, you may need to correct a word or two, but pretty much they're what people are looking for.
Have you started getting involved in that? Well, what's the one like Chat? I'm gonna screw this up. Chat PG or Chat PG or something.
I don't know. Etsy had one that was actually pretty good. That was designed for you.
Oh, Etsy had one. Okay.
On Etsy.
I know. Canva, the Canva program has one built in as well now.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of programs that are making things.
I think it's Chat GPT. I think is what it is. Come to think of it.
And they're not. You know what? They work. They're good. They're a lot better than what I can think of, and a lot better with. I've seen really bad photos, really bad descriptions, misspellings. It was just awful. And these aren't necessarily bad people. I have a slight problem with dyslexia. So, sometimes my stuff kind of gets jumbled up.
Right.
And, again, it's like using the tools that you have. I'm not going to use my fist to bang in a nail. I'm going to use a hammer.
Right.
Does that make it wrong? Now, actually, these photos don't even show up as good as they are, but at least.
Yeah, we're only at 720 on the one stream, at least on my stream. We're only at 720. What did you say you're doing? What, 1500 by 1500 DPI?
Yeah, 1500 by 1500 pixels.
Pixels. I'm sorry. Okay. And you're doing a minimum of 6 pictures per listing, correct?
Yeah, I look at 6 pictures as optimum.
Right.
Not with everything. There's some that I only use 2 or 3.
Okay. And you're actually now this helps with the Google search engine, right? When you show the UPC.
Right. Each one of these pictures, basically, in the JPEG, whatever you save it as, has that UPC code in it. Okay, so that when search comes up and somebody is looking for that item, it will come up a lot better than if you did not have it. Okay, so it
Well,
actually should increase your sales. Now, obviously, that's not going to work on used items per se,
right.
although, a lot of used items also have UPC codes other than clothing.
Okay, now you said that once you explain, you've mentioned that to me before. I'm not 100% certain how you're doing this. You're putting the UPC code in the JPEG description, and how does that get uploaded into the Google search engine?
Well, when you save it with the UPC code.
Right.
So when you upload it, okay, that code is there with it.
Okay.
All right. And the other good thing is when you take a photograph, you by proxy have the rights to that photograph, and nobody else really does. So nobody else can copy your photographs unless you allow them to. So if somebody copies your photographs, you can actually have them taken down.
See Lisa's comment?
Yeah, repeating pictures. That's just the process of, you want to get 6 pictures or however many pictures up there because eBay wants you to have X amount. So you put up the same picture just so you get that. And I don't think that's a good thing. It's kind of a lazy way of doing things. Should it be punished per se? Yeah, I think it should. If you're, but eBay has a habit of making rules and then never applying those rules. You're not supposed to put words in any of the photographs. How many photographs do you see that the first picture has words, USA seller, or 100% guaranteed? I got an item that was defective and it said 100% guaranteed. And when I asked, well, why am I not able to get a refund on an item that says 100% guaranteed? Because it was past the 30 days. So 100% guaranteed only means 30 days now. Doesn't really mean 100% guaranteed.
That's misleading. Yep.
So, and I said that. I said, you know what? That's misleading. I said, the problem is, okay, I buy ink. All right. I buy, let's say, 6 cartridges of black ink at a time. All right. If the last cartridge is defective and it's day 31, that means that 100% guarantee doesn't mean anything because the seller won't stand behind it because he doesn't have to.
Once you come, I'm sorry, go ahead.
So if you have rules and, those rules are not followed, then what good are they?
Okay, I'm not an expert on this, but I know like we have discussed not using product pictures from the manufacturer unless you're a licensed distributor. You can't use stock photos, so to speak. So is that correct? What Ping G is saying?
Yeah, eBay doesn't own your photographs. Your photographs are yours. It's not like you put it up there and they can claim that it's theirs. Right. That's a pretty broad definition. But you'll never get them to explain that. But anyway, I mean, they can't override your license for the photographs. You don't have to, because you have the ability to copyright them. So if you want to go ahead and copyright them, which you really don't need to, but if you want to, you can. And there's nothing they can do to override that copyright.
Here's a good tip from Glenn Swanpicker. Says sometimes they use the same picture because you can edit them and doing a close up, etc., enlarge it. That's good.
Yeah, they're not really then the same photograph.
Correct. Right. You're editing it and changing it. Yeah.
You're zeroing in on a certain thing to make it more clear. So yeah, they're different. I mean, sometimes I'll take a photograph too, and there's things that I want to highlight, so I'm going to basically, zone in on those things. Yeah, rather than take two photos. If I take one photograph and it's a really good photograph, I may use it 2 or 3 times. Just there's multiple ways you can change it.
Right. This is a good tip about Tommy. And Tommy, you must have been eavesdropping on some of Randy and my conversations. We talk about CSR reps, and that they're like Randy and I would just say they're just following a script. They don't really have any. I don't know if the word's autonomy, but they don't really have any leeway. They just go on by the book, so to speak. But that's true. I mean, they just eBay says this, and this. They don't have the authority to go out of the box. It's very rare that, I mean, occasionally they do, and it's unusual. You'll have people like posting in the Facebook group or something. Well, this person did this, that, and the other. And I was really surprised. It's like, yeah.
Well, occasionally you'll get somebody who's been there long enough to feel
right
at what they can do and what they can allow. But usually you're getting kind of like the lower end of the rung, and they're not, you know what? They're there to follow the rules. They're not gonna ring any bells. They just kind of want to be there and put their hours in and get paid and go home.
True.
Let's face it. Why should they put their job on the line for you? They don't know who you are. You've never done anything for them.
I always catch it by, and I probably shouldn't do this, but I'm getting older, and I know it's not your fault. I know you don't make policy. They shouldn't. There's a but coming after that.
I mean, a lot of times it is how you treat them initially over the phone.
Yes, yeah. Try to be kind.
If you say, "Hey, which idiot are you?" Well, you know what? Anything that comes after that, they're not listening to.
Yeah, if you say, I know you're going to screw me over before you even start talking to you, well, now you're off on a bad foot to begin with.
Sometimes you got to let people do their thing, and you say, even though you know better, you know what? They have to learn on their own.
I'm going to go a little off topic, guys. I tell you, I have ADD. But it just reminded me of something. I actually tried to make a video of this, and I thought I could. I'm not the most tech savvy person. I thought they have clips on YouTube, and you can clip it, you can save it to like your social media and stuff. But I think you could actually use. I'm sure there's a way I could screen record things. But I had talked multiple times about when you're going to yard sales and garage sales and estate sales, and Mike Flipping Goodies has talked about it, and other resellers have talked about it. Try to build rapport with the sellers, whether it be the person running the estate sale or the thrift store employees or the thrift store general manager or the person running the yard sale or garage sale. But I forgot this gentleman's name, but when I first got involved in reselling, I thought I was going to do Amazon. It became a little overwhelming. I was doing a lot of retail arbitrage, and it kind of burnt me out. But basically, he was saying what I did. He went to an estate sale, and he kind of built a little rapport. And I think it was somebody who was doing a private estate sale, and he kind of tried to build a rapport with something. And he said something. He goes, I'm going to build a big pile here. Is that okay? I want to buy you out. Ha 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 ha. Just trying to build a little rapport with people. So then he found a bunch of stuff, put a big pile, and he made them an offer, and they accepted his offer. But you don't go from the get-go saying, "Hey, I'm going to pay you $3 for that. You got it marked $10." That's not how it works. You got to try to build up a little rapport and try to be friendly with the people before you buy things. So anyway, and I know I get sidetracked, but I wanted to bring that up. So let's address Tommy's comment here. Tommy had a deep conversation with a veteran merchant support rep one night. She was very careful about the communication failures. Candid, careful. I can't even read it. Obviously, I need new glasses too. She was very candid about the communication failures. Yes. It's bad, Tommy. Like I said, I mean, there's a lot of issues. At least I'm not going to post that on the screen, but I understand what you're saying. I complain about that, and it's like the largest companies. You'll get customer support, and sometimes I'll even say to the person, I can't understand what you're saying to me. I don't want to say you don't speak proper English, but sometimes it's like, could you repeat that? I don't understand what you just said. And then I mean, I'll call like pharmacy. Like I had a problem with one of my prescriptions, or I had a problem with one of my I got billed for something that my insurance should have paid for. I said, and you get US based customer support. It's like, wow, and then they transfer you off to somewhere else, and the people speak poor English, and they don't understand you don't understand them. But unfortunately, that's 2022, 2023. That's the world we live in. People are trying to, they're paying these people probably $3 an hour or $2 an hour, as opposed to $15, $20, $25 an hour. So they're paying a seventh of what they would pay in the States.
More like $2 a day.
$2 a day, yeah.
And that's a high rate of pay for them.
Yeah, here's a good point about what Tommy says here. He goes, YouTubers spread the make-believe in Facebook groups, becomes fact. It's sad. Yeah. And, Tommy, Randy and I have side discussions, and I'm going to be careful how I word this. But a lot of the resellers now are not big-time resellers. They're out there selling their programs, their courses, their affiliates, this, that, and the other thing. They're not really big-time resellers anymore. Back in the day, they were pumping out the volume, and they were giving out a lot of great information. Now it's all about generating that dollar. They got to make more money. They got to make more money. They got new cars. They got new houses. They got this, that, and the other thing. And they're just trying to sell you stuff, sell you more stuff, sell you more stuff. And,
let's look at what you said a little while back. Okay, when you were reading that news broadcast that eBay had a glitch and certain things were not relisted when they were supposed to be.
Disappearing.
You tell me how. Okay, somebody can have 40,000 listings, and remember, what of those things are not being relisted? One thing I do is I go over certain categories in my store. Okay. And when I go over those categories, I find that 20% of my items are no longer on the platform.
20%.
20%.
That's insane.
Okay. And I'm talking year after year. So this is not
it's continuing issue. Yeah.
Yeah. This is not something that happened one time with a glitch. This is something that continually happens. Now, if you have 40,000 items, I'm sorry, you really have no ability to control that. You're not Albert Einstein, and I don't think Albert Einstein would do that. I mean, one of the things that I didn't bring up yet, but is part of my cleaning up the clutter, is designating a certain amount of space for something and holding to that space for a while and working that space. Where let's say you only have 4 feet wide and let's say 8 feet high for remote controls. Okay. So when you have that all filled up for sale and you have it all listed, okay, you don't go out and buy until some of that goes down because you can't control it. You have to go in and you have to continually update these things. Remote controls, a certain kind may go for $30 one day and $4 the next day. If you have it at $30, okay, you're not going to sell them when the going market rate is $4. But if the going market rate is $30 and you have them for $4, well, you'll sell them out. But how much money are you leaving on the table? So to be a good reseller, there's some things that you have to be consistently watchful of. Do you know that I won't say the grocery store, okay, because I don't think they'd want me to. But when a certain chain of grocery stores is planning on going into an area that they have never been in before, that they spend 6 months at sending scouts out, and not just to look at their partly competitors, like their same kind of competitors like supermarkets. They're going in checking grocery stores. They're going in checking pharmacies. They're going in checking farmers markets. They're talking to people, finding out, what things are missing in the marketplace that they'd like to see. They're doing a whole lot of homework. And I will tell you that the opening day of one of those stores, they did $5 million just on the opening day. So
$5 million opening day?
$5 million in one day on the opening day.
Wow.
Okay. Like I said, they're not going in just, let's say, looking at Stop and Shop. They're looking they're looking at small little, boutique stores. They're looking in shopping malls.
Yep.
There are so many
specialty stores, large, right, retailers. Yep.
Yeah. I mean,
super centers.
Target has a grocery store in it.
Yeah.
Okay, you have Whole Foods, you have most of the club stores, you have Walmart, you have farmers markets, you got little butchers. You have all kinds of things that mainline grocery store needs to compete with.
Sure, absolutely.
So they're doing the prep work, and that's what you need to do as a reseller. And you can't do that with 40,000 items.
No, you can't stay on top of it. And like I said, if you're having all these items, disappearing, not renewing, how are you going to keep track of 40,000 items? I don't know how people can keep track of 4,000 items, but they do. But
the average grocery store has more than a dozen buyers, and each one of those buyers has 2 or 3 assistants. Okay, so you're looking at, they may have 40,000 items, but they also have 27 people looking after them. It's not just one. So don't be a fool, because 40,000 items, a lot of items can disappear. Okay, you may have an item that's been up there for 10 years. And you may sell it for $4, but over the 10 years, it cost you $47 to keep it there.
Right.
So you really didn't make any money.
Like you we talked about in the 12-step program about, people have all these storage lockers and things, and it's the cost adding to the product. I mean, when you're listing things, technically it's costing you. When you're storing things, it's costing you. When you're keeping things in your home, technically it's keeping you, because you're not flipping that. It's taking up space where you have something that maybe would sell more quickly.
Sure. Let's say I sell an item and that my net profit on it is $2. Well, you know what? If I can sell that over and over again, how much more money am I going to make than buying something that maybe I can get $20 for, but I got to keep it for 3 years?
Well, I don't want to let the golden goose out, so to speak, but you were telling me you had a commodity, a replenishable item, and what'd you say? You sold 1,200 in like 3 weeks of this item? 1,200 of something in 3 weeks, guys. Is that insane? It's a replenishable. I'm not saying that you should all sell replenishables, but it's nice kind of mix that in, because then you're generating sales and you're generating activity. We all know that the eBay algorithm, Cassini, likes activity. And is that the way Walmart works as well, that it likes activity and sales? I'm assuming it does, but what happens when you assume?
Let's face it. Okay, let's say I sell these padded envelopes. You see the way they're stuck together?
Yes.
Well, I'm going to show you everybody something later on. But anyway, let's say this is what you sell. Okay, a lot of people sell these. All right, I buy them every week, different sizes, different kinds. Okay, this is what you need to start with as a base. You start with something that you can get over. I only got to make one listing. Maybe I may improve that listing over time. But it's one listing and it keeps on selling. Okay. You can add other things. Now, I'm not going to give other people secrets up, but adding those other things is like putting gravy on mashed potatoes. Okay. Mashed potatoes is the base. You're not just going to throw gravy on the plate, but you got the mashed potatoes, which is bringing in the money. The gravy just brings in a little bit more and makes them a little bit more tasty. Okay. That's the way you need to run your store.
Right.
If you're going to be a reseller, because you're not spending much time on this anymore. But those singular things that you're buying, you're continually, I got to take pictures of every single thing. If I sell this, I take pictures one time, it's up there, and I continually sell it. So I can add other things, but get a base on what you sell. Find a replenishable. It doesn't matter if they're avocados or peanuts or whatever they are. You need a base. You look at a store, okay? When Giant first opened, their big claim to fame was the freshness of their produce. Not anymore, but nonetheless. And that's what got people there. You need to get people to your store. Once you get people to your store, you can sell them all kinds of things.
Yeah, back in the day of the regional supermarket chain that's part of the super conglomerate, that's going to be even a bigger super conglomerate. Local stores in my area were Acme supermarkets. They were known for their meats, Lancaster brand meat. You know, they were all known for the meat. So they were higher on everything, but people would go there to shop for their meats, and then they would pick up, dairy, produce, et cetera, et cetera. They were paying a lot more for those other items. But the meats were the draw into the store. That's why they sell like commodities. Well, back in the day, it used to be eggs were reasonable, now are super pricey. But milk, eggs, bread, everything was discounted to competitive pricing.
Sure, get things that will make people come to your store.
Right.
Maybe you won't make a lot of money on those things, but you'll make a whole lot of money on the things that people will take along with those items.
One thing I wanted to do was you had shared with me how you include like a promotion or like an advertisement with your items. Why don't you share that when you tell the people a little bit about that? When you're shipping out, somebody buys something from you, you put a little advertisement in with. Well, you actually include a packing slip or an invoice, and you have a little advertisement on it.
When somebody is looking for something, let's say they're looking to buy a remote control. Okay. Really, they're just looking for that model. They're not looking for anything else. However, when they get the remote control, okay, they get an invoice from me. And you can see on the bottom of the invoice, it says,
You're blocking your microphone. There you go.
Okay. You can see maybe you're going to put another item on there.
Yeah, because they came to your store looking for a remote control, then come looking for coffee or come looking for cosmetics or whatever.
No, so now they know you sell something else. So you give them a good, a good experience with just selling them a remote control. They're going to look and maybe come back to you.
Right.
The advertising doesn't cost me anything other than, what it costs me for one sheet of paper with a little bit of ink on it.
Right.
Okay. But the goodwill and the return certainly bounces back multiple times. Okay. I don't put on what store you can get it at. Okay. Other than my store, but it doesn't tell you to get it on eBay or get it on Walmart or get it on whatever platform you sell on. But I sell the same thing on multiple platforms. So when you get that order and it comes from, let's say, eBay, okay, it's not taking you off the eBay site. So you're really not violating any of their issues that they seem to have.
Oh, you have an infant in the house?
Yeah, my grandson.
Okay.
So anyway, it's just another way of you being able to monetize your own products.
Right.
And for a lot less than what it's costing you on any other platform.
Right.
I remember back in the day when, whenever you bought stuff, actually you could buy the ability to have your advertisement slipped into the newspaper or, let's say one time I had to deal with General Foods, not General Foods, whoever made Mr. Coffee,
right,
to put my coffee list in all their coffee makers.
Okay.
So when you bought a coffee maker, Mr. Coffee, there was a mail order coupon for some of my coffee.
Oh.
And it cost me whatever, X amount, 2 cents, let's say.
Right, yeah.
For every one that was inserted.
Okay.
And, we got thousands of orders through
Sure that. You did. Yeah, absolutely.
But this is another way. I mean, I showed you those things that stuck together.
Yeah, I was going to say, when don't we get into that a little bit? And then
I didn't want to forget that. Now,
I know people's time is valuable, guys. We just want to give you a couple of tips while you're here.
This is the one thing, and the problem is when you fold this over and glue it down, okay, things stick together. So if you have two packages, one going to New York and one is going to Hawaii, they're going to stick together. They're going to run on a belt, and the chances are that both of those packages are going to show up either in New York or Hawaii and be greatly delayed until they can sort that out. And sometimes, like for instance, when I send packages to Guam, people complain that it takes too long to get there, because to get to Guam from Pennsylvania has to go all the way across the country, then to Hawaii before it can get to Guam, because it has to go through customs. And customs can get clogged up sometimes for weeks on end. So I actually am going to quit sending things to Guam. I don't really relish all the complaints. Okay, so this is all you have to do is basically snip the edges so that when you fold it down, the edges, the glue doesn't come out and the thing doesn't stick to another.
So in other words, guys, when he showed me this when he was doing this demonstration, sometimes if your things aren't sealed properly, like when I even ship like a padded flat rate envelope, and I'll take it and I'll tape the edges shut. But Randy said a trick to that is cutting at 45-degree angles, cutting the edges off, and then sealing that. That way that glue is not sticking, so your package won't stick to another package. So maybe one package has gone to Texas, another package has gone to Hawaii, and the one from Texas ends up getting shipped to Hawaii, or vice versa. So that's a great tip.
Now here's another one for you. Okay, you see this little envelope here? I can ship this out, but there's a 50% chance that it's going to get lost in the mail because it's too small. So if you take this envelope and stick it inside of this envelope is 6x9 and probably will not get lost. I found that by doing that, things have not only just not gotten lost, but they've actually gotten there quicker.
And there again, you cut off the angles on that larger package so that the glue doesn't stick to the other packages.
Yeah, but you basically put one inside the other. Doesn't really add any weight to it. Okay, and it's just a better way of doing things. And you know what? These cost me like 4 cents.
Yeah, in fact, Randy and I are going to discuss a little bit of, tell you guys, you got to network with other resellers. You got to discuss things, and maybe I tell you guys how impressed I am with the knowledge that Randy has. He's been doing this for a lot of years, and he's always adapting and changing things. So I'm saying, Randy he goes, well, double envelopes. Like, well, I pay 30 cents for this envelope and a quarter for this envelope. Because I pay 4 cents you pay 4 cents for your envelopes. He goes, yeah, I only pay okay. But granted, that's just a Mylar envelope. It's not a padded envelope, but so network with other resellers, guys. Maybe if you're selling sneakers, talk to Tommy. If you're selling high-end antiques, talk to other resellers that sell antiques. Harry sell antiques. If people are willing, to give you their email address or their cell phone number, get it, So if you come across something that's unusual, maybe they can help you and give you some pointers or tips or whatever. I'm just going to open up the chat if there are any other quick questions for Randy. I know you guys' time is valuable. It's a Saturday. Just dealing with some health issues, guys. I haven't been live a lot, so Randy was kind enough to say he would come on with me today, and we're still working on Randy's. I guess we were up to step 7 on the Reseller 12-step program. So he's got to fine tune a couple more shows, and we're going to try to release those one every week to 10 days ish. So hopefully we can get another video out in the next 10 days or so. Hopefully, fingers crossed. Were there any questions for Randy, guys? While I have Randy in the chat. Anyway, belated happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody. I don't drink anymore. I didn't even wear green yesterday, but hopefully those of you that did enjoyed yourself.
Hopefully yesterday you made a lot of green.
They made a lot of green on St. Patrick's Day. There you go. I know there's a little bit of lag in the chat, so I'm going to see if there's any other questions for you, Randy. Okay, give it another 30 seconds or so. So, okay, so the other thing, I guess, real quickly, we can touch like for 2 minutes on the titles and the description. You had talked about having a professional logo developed on Fiverr. Any tips on the titles? I know I guess we touched a little bit on AI. So how do you do like a title? If you do a title, say men's Ralph Lauren polo shirt, men's polo shirt, gray.
Well, I mean, what color is it? What size is it? You know, you really want, first of all, you want to put Ralph Lauren as the first part of the search.
Right.
Okay. The name of the manufacturer or the designer is always good to be number one, because that's how everybody searches, and that's how all the search engines.
So they search in Google or whatnot. Yep. Or eBay.
Okay. Whether it's men's, whether it's women's, whether it's unisex.
Right.
Okay. I mean, we make a lot more things now today that fit both men and women.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, you don't go to a concert and pick up a concert T-shirt and you say, "Well, I got to go over to the men's side." I mean,
right. They're small, medium, large, extra large, 2X. That's it. They're all unisex. Yeah.
Right. So, in any case,
right.
You know, it's just a matter of using your head a little bit and say, "Well, how would I look for this?"
Right.
You know, it's not just, "Hey, I have a gray shirt." Well, okay, that doesn't tell you anything. I mean, you want to see a bad way to do it, just look at most of the sellers, and don't do it the same way they do it.
Yeah, you know, Tommy was saying the eBay populates in order from highest to lowest when people start typing. That's a good tip.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much common sense.
Yeah.
You know, hey, look for a good ad for what you're selling.
Well, that's true. I'll go to Solds, right? I'll go to Solds and say, "Oh, this guy's selling a lot of this item that I want to sell." How do they describe it in their title? What do they put in the description? And then you kind of, like you said, you kind of, modify it, but make it what they're doing, similar to how you want to do it.
You know, I mean, sometimes you can look up the UPC code and go to the manufacturer and see what the
manufacturer's title is.
Yeah, what the manufacturer's title is, what they're saying their strong points are. Is this, mild? Is this rigid? Is this whatever?
Right.
You know, I mean, when you buy a hammer, what do you want a hammer to do? Well, you want it to hammer. You want it to be strong. You want it to be able to pull out nails. That's what you have to accentuate. Because what are you looking to use it for? You know, I mean, obviously, clothing is a different different game. But what is the material? Is it rayon? Is it silk?
Cotton, right? Tommy, Tommy, I wasn't familiar with this. Is this a website, Keywords Everywhere? I'm assuming it's some kind of a website. That's a great tip. Learn something new every day. I said that's why I tell you, network with other resellers, and especially successful resellers like Randy and Tommy. They've done the research. They're very successful, and they're always learning, and they're adapting, and they're improving their listings.
Right. Plus if I find a source, I don't want to sell clothing, okay, or I don't want to sell shoes. So I found a guy who has a big warehouse full of those big red cartoon shoes. Well, I know nothing about them. I know that they're a big hot thing right now, but I'm going to contact somebody who does and say, you know what, here's a good deal. Maybe this will help, and maybe they know I sell something and they'll contact me. That's what networking is about. You're not on the side of eBay. You're not on the side of Etsy. You're on the side of the other resellers. They may be your competitors. I'm going to tell you, I helped out more of my competitors and have a better relationship with my competitors. And I made a lot of money with my competitors because there were a lot of things that we did together that really just saved us an awful lot of money.
Well,
I
won't keep you much
made-
longer, guys. But an example that Randy had told me about was, he's large portion of his business is coffee, so he roasts coffee. So he has relationships with other coffee sellers. Sometimes roasters go down. Apparently, it's a relatively frequent occurrence. And so if his roaster's down, he's up the creek without a paddle. So he has relationships with other sellers. They can roast his coffee beans for him, and they can actually. I think you said they've actually shipped product for you too, right?
Yeah,
Filled your orders. Yeah.
And I ship product for them.
For them, vice versa. Yeah.
I mean, fires are pretty common among coffee roasters.
Right.
Okay, you have a fire, you're not in business the next day.
Right.
You got to go through all kinds of hazmat cleaning and everything else. And that's only if you had a small amount of damage. Okay, so you have to rely on somebody that you can trust. I send things to my competitors from their vendors, not even having them know that what they got came from me. In other words, there was a company in New Jersey called Ireland Coffee.
Yes.
Okay. Ireland Coffee used to have some coffee done by a guy up in upstate New York called River Road.
Okay.
Okay. When River Road had a capacity problem, they would send me a fax. Tell how old this is. They would send me a fax with the order. I would do the order and ship it to Ireland Coffee with the name River Road, but my address on the bill of lading. So they never knew, because most
they thought it was coming from River Road, but it was technically coming from you when you were fulfilling it for River Road.
So it was great when we had to compete with each other and go after some of the same accounts, because
okay.
I was competing with myself.
Right.
So I really didn't have to worry about it. But many companies do other jobs for their competitors, including big companies. I'm talking Hershey does a lot more than what you think they do.
You told me, yeah.
Because chocolate in the United States is not like
German chocolate or right
in Germany,
Danish,
or Sweden, or in South America.
Very different.
Formulations are quite different, and the taste is quite different.
Yes, Randy drinks coffee.
Yeah, a lot of it.
So good.
So all kinds of companies work together. Okay, when I worked for Jackson Rope Company, we were the largest rope company in the country. But when their main competitor had a strike, even though we were also a union company, we manufactured the product for them.
It's unusual. Okay.
And actually, it's not as unusual as you would think.
And you would think. Okay.
There are a lot of times this happens. Okay, so as a reseller, to get together with other resellers, not even necessarily the same type of reseller, or maybe it will be the same. Right. You can really be a benefit to each other.
Absolutely. We've said that time and time again, guys. Make friends, make acquaintances with other resellers, and it helps you guys. I mean, bounce ideas off of people. Say, what do you think if I do this, or what do you think if I do this? Is it a good idea? And some neighbors say, no, you don't want to do it. Oh yeah, that's a great idea. It always helps out people that are. I mean, a lot of resellers, like their family, their spouses, their friends, their family members. Oh, you make money doing this? Yeah, I make a lot of money doing it. I mean, some people make a lot of money doing this, which I did, but anyway, so they don't want to help them. So if you can bounce it off other resellers, it really helps you in your business.
I was at the post office 2 weeks ago, and I met a reseller there, and he said he's having a real hard time finding a certain size box. And I asked him what size box he was looking for, and he told me. I said, well, I have a whole dumpster full of those, and I throw them out. So anytime you want them, you can come and get them. And it's not going to cost you anything, because I just throw them away.
Yeah. And it saves you money on disposal fees too.
So, yeah, I mean, you know what? He was He was looking for something that he couldn't find, and it was right there in his backyard.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
he got it for nothing.
Got it for nothing. Okay, guys, on that note, I appreciate you all being here and spending your Saturday with us. And like I said, Randy's going to try to get some more of these, the 12-step program reseller videos. We're going to try to get some more of those out. So stay tuned for those. If you haven't watched the earlier ones, please do so. Before you leave, you can remember to like, subscribe, and we'll be back with some more videos in the near future. Thanks, everyone, for being here. Take care now.